Be honest. You've probably been told that mastery takes forever. People say it's a 10-year journey, that it's all about paying your dues, grinding for decades, and outworking everyone else. We've all heard the same broken record. It just takes time. And yeah, that sounds responsible, mature, even noble, until you realize it's also the slowest, most inefficient route possible. Here's the truth most people never hear. You don't need 10 years to become world-class. You don't need to suffer for a decade to be great. You need 10 weeks if you know this one trick. And no, it's not a hack or some secret course or waking up at 4 a.m. to meditate on your goals. It's something much more powerful, something that rewires how you approach learning itself. This isn't about working harder or even learning faster. It's about stepping off the crowded track everyone else is running on and switching to one where nobody can compete with you. Once you understand this, you'll never look at mastery, success, or competition the same way again. When we think about masters, we picture people who've been doing one thing their entire lives. The painter who spent 30 years perfecting their strokes, the coder who's been building software since middle school, or the athlete who started training before they could even spell their own name. We look at them and think, wow, I could never catch up to that. And that thought kills more potential than failure ever could. But what if I told you that most experts are stuck? They're incredible at what they do, but they're trapped inside it. They've built a fortress around one single skill, and they're too afraid or too specialized to see outside the walls. That's where the advantage lies. Because while they've spent years running laps on the same track, you can take a shortcut by switching tracks entirely. You don't need to outrun them, you just need to find a smarter path. This isn't about discipline or grind, it's about leverage, stacking skills together in ways that multiply your results exponentially. One person can spend a lifetime perfecting a single ability, but another person with 2 or 3 connected skills can leapfrog them in a fraction of the time. That's the skill stacking secret. So what exactly is skill stacking? It's simple, but the effect is mind-blowing. Skill stacking means combining 2 or 3 complementary abilities that when mixed together create a unique and powerful advantage. Each skill acts like an amplifier for the others. It's not linear growth, it's exponential. Think of it like chemistry. Alone, hydrogen and oxygen don't do much for you, but put them together and boom, you've got water, the most essential element for life. The same happens with skills. A decent speaker? Not rare. A decent storyteller? Also not rare. A decent designer? Again, nothing special. But combine all 3 and suddenly you're a TED-level communicator in a matter of months. The power doesn't come from being perfect at one thing, it comes from how your skills interact. It's the overlap that makes you unbeatable. Imagine 2 people. The first one is a pure expert, say a world-class software developer who spent 15 years writing perfect code. They're brilliant, no doubt. Now meet person number 2. They're not as technical. Their code is okay, not perfect, but they understand marketing, communication, and design. Guess who launches the successful startup? Not the expert, the hybrid. Because in the real world, success isn't about being the best coder, designer, or speaker. It's about being the one who connects dots that others don't even see. That's what stacking does. It lets you see patterns across fields. You stop thinking in silos and start thinking in systems, and that shift changes everything.
When you learn to connect ideas from different domains, psychology with business, art with technology, logic with emotion, you start operating on an entirely new level. While others fight for inches in their lane, you're creating new lanes. Skill stacking turns you from a specialist into a strategist, and in a world obsessed with single skill excellence, that's your secret weapon. Now, here's where most people go wrong. They hear, learn multiple skills, and suddenly they're trying to do everything. They're juggling 10 random hobbies, playing piano, learning Mandarin, trying stand-up comedy, reading finance books, dabbling in crypto, and taking pottery lessons. That's not stacking, that's chaos. Real skill stacking is intentional. It's about overlap, not overload. You want your skills to connect, not compete for your attention. If one skill doesn't amplify the others, it's probably just a distraction. For example, copywriting plus psychology equals magnetic persuasion. Design plus storytelling equals emotional branding. Business plus communication equals leadership and influence. Fitness plus discipline equals mental resilience and drive. Every pair has a synergy, a point where the sum becomes far greater than its parts. And when you find those intersections, you stop being just another learner. You become a creator of value. That's the difference between someone who learns and someone who wins. Think of skill stacking like music. A single note on a guitar? Fine. But when you combine multiple strings, suddenly you get chords, rich, layered, emotional. And when you put those chords together into songs, with rhythm, emotion, and intent, that's when people start listening. Your life works the same way. Each skill you learn is a string. When you play them together in harmony, you create a sound no one else can copy. Most people spend their entire lives trying to perfect one note. You're building a symphony. Here's the crazy part. The moment you start stacking, your learning speed explodes because every new skill reinforces the others. You're no longer starting from scratch every time. You're building on existing mental frameworks. When you learn public speaking, your writing improves. When you learn storytelling, your marketing gets sharper. When you learn psychology, your ability to sell or even to connect with people multiplies. You're not learning linearly anymore, you're compounding. It's like compound interest, but for your brain. Each skill invests into the next, and your growth curve stops being a slow, painful climb, it becomes a vertical takeoff. That's why some people seem naturally talented. They're not. They're just stacking intelligently. They found ways to connect skill A to skill B to skill C, and the result looks like genius from the outside. But in reality, it's just leverage. Now, let's talk about the world we're living in right now. AI can do almost anything a single human skill can do. It can write, code, draw, design, compose, even speak. So if your entire value comes from one skill, you're replaceable. But if your value comes from the combination of multiple connected skills, suddenly you're irreplaceable. AI can generate art, but it can't feel culture. It can write words, but it can't read a room. It can code, but it can't lead a team.